Okay, as requested by Levi, we're going to talk about the beast here. All right, this is our hydraulic mixer that we have for our shop. We're going to do a quick run through on how to mix mortar. Shop mortar though, not real mortar. Okay? All right, so the first thing you got to do before you do anything is look inside the drum and make sure that there's water in the mixer. Which if we look, we got water in the mixer. There should always be water in the mixer because the person that used it prior should have washed out the mixer. And when you do that, you just leave the water in. All right? So once you check to make sure that you got water, the next thing you're going to do is turn on the mixer. If you come over to this compartment, over here, there's a little nook right there where you'll see this little red lever, this guy right here. The power is currently shut off in the building, but just so you know, if you flip it towards the machine, that is on. This is off. On, off. Good thing the thing doesn't work because this thing is so loud you can't hear it anyways. You won't be able to hear a thing. So, as you come over here, like I said, this is a hydraulic mixer. We have the two levers over here. The one on the right, this guy here, is to operate those paddles. Those things will actually spin through the movement of this lever. When lifting up, the paddles will run counterclockwise, meaning the paddles will spin this way. If you push it down, like so, that means that the paddles will run clockwise. All right? So we're going to talk about, usually you want them to run counterclockwise, which I'll get to in a second. The paddle or the lever on the left, this guy, all right? This is to actually operate this drum. This drum will roll over and dispense the mortar into the tub, okay? It's a little funky because if you pull up on the lever, the drum will go down. If you pull down on the lever, the drum will go up. Also, it is very, very, very important to know that the action of the mixer is in direct relationship to the amount of pressure or speed or height that you put on the lever. So for example, when I move this up just the tiniest bit like that, the paddles will move very slow. If I bring this all the way up to its highest point, the paddles are going to move so fast, they'll actually start to shoot mortar all over the shop, which we don't want. So you want to be very sensitive with the levers. So let's talk about that for a minute. This drum right here, like I said, is in direct relationship to the sensitivity of that lever. If you are to lift up very heavily, very fast on this, and I said if up makes the drum go down, this whole unit is going to flop forward, meaning if somebody is standing where this bucket is, they will now have a broken arm if they are lucky. There is the potential they could even be killed. So our policy is in this shop that if this mixer is on, this drum, the mixing drum, actually we'll do that right now. That's how that should look. Because now nobody could stand in front of the drum and actually get hurt. And now we have a place to dispense the mortar into. Alright, so very nice. So what you'll do is you'll start the right lever by pushing up slightly so that the paddles will start to move, and you'll grab one of these bags that we spoke about in the video. Not any of the other ones, just the ones that say lime on them. Grab the lime bag. You bring it over here. And you are going to drop it on this spike located at the top of the mixer. This spike will actually puncture the bag. At that point, you're going to twist the bag, which is going to make the hole even bigger, and take each end of the bag and flop it up on its end. This will allow all the lime to drop into the mixer. So, for our shop mortar, we have 3 simple ingredients. The water, that should already be in there, the lime that we placed on the bag, and last but not least, our sand. This is Mason sand, okay? This is for the specific purpose of mixing mortar. So, our ratio for this shop is a 20-to-1 ratio, meaning 1 bag of lime and 20 shovelfuls of mortar, of sand, of sand. Now let's talk about shovelfuls. This is not a shovelful. That is a shovelful. Okay? You want full shovels of sand. If you do not put enough sand in there, you'll get a very sticky mortar that's very difficult to work with. You can also end up doing the other thing where you have too much sand, but my experience has been that rarely happens in here, where the mortar doesn't stick enough because you have too much sand. So you want to make sure that you get 20 full. This machine will do a maximum of 3 bags of lime, so that will give you 60 shovelfuls of sand. And FYI, that is a loosely interpreted number. If you get 63, 64, 59, at those points you're getting in the area that you actually want to look in the mixer and observe your mortar. Look at it. Say, all right, what does that look like? Does it look like it's sticking too much? A consistency of peanut butter is a pretty good analogy of what you're looking at. Very fluffy peanut butter. All right. So after you have all your stuff in, and also I highly suggest, some kids use the hose to add water. I am a big proponent of buckets. Okay, you really should be using buckets, where this 55-gallon drum located next to the mixer is usually filled with water, and that's what we add to the mixer to mix the mortar. All right, so we get close to where we want the mortar. We want to come over here again, and we want to hit the left lever, and we want to push it up slightly. And that will cause this to roll over and push the mortar out. That's where it's important that these are running counterclockwise, because when they run counterclockwise, it'll actually push the mortar out, where clockwise will pull the mortar in. We want the mortar out and into our tub. Okay? So the thing will roll over. At that point, usually what you're going to do is stop the paddles once the drum is rolled over, and you can take a trowel, because mortar tends to collect on this shelf right here, and you pull it into the tub. Turn the paddles back on, let it mix back around again, turn the paddles off, clear it off one more time, and usually your tub is nice and full at that point. Last but not least, the most important thing that seems to be forgotten all the time, and is why our mixer is in the current state it is that you do not walk away from the machine at that point. You must wash out the barrel. Wash off the drums. And that includes washing this side, turning it back on, rotating the blades 180 degrees, and washing the other side of the paddles. You do not need to dump out the water at this point, because that is the water that's going to be used for the next guy mixing mortar. It's like a perfect harmony. All right? Hope that helps, Levi. People should have lots of comments and questions for this one, because some of you guys are pretty darn good at this and gotten pretty comfortable with this machine. Hope all is well. Behave.